Alright, let's see what we could talk to Morgan. Actually, I could give Morgan some things, but when she's back in the party.
What do you wish of me? If you must.
Alright, what's it? Can you teach... Alright, we already did this.
By others, do you mean yourself?
She still hasn't done it, though.
What do you wish of me? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Damn it. No, nothing to talk about. Shit. Alright, what about my other party members? Anything with Leliana?
I was just thinking about what happened to the elves, and I'm reminded of a song sung to me many years ago.
Huh.
It was when my mother died, and this wise elven woman comforted me and told me that we shouldn't fear death or hate it. Death is just another beginning. One day, we must all shed our earthly
Shut up and take your
bodies
top
to allow
off.
our
God damn
spirits
it.
to fly free.
You're boring. That is comforting.
It's a beautiful sentiment, I think. One that brings peace and hope to the grieving.
Fuck you going? Don't throw yourself on the fire, no! No! She's singing? What the fuck is this? She's singing. Oh yes, Why does she have that one little braid? Is that her piece of flair? What the fuck? Oh yeah, this is quite odd. She's serenading me. What is happening? I like how dog doesn't interrupt. This is weird. This is very weird. She shakes her head. What is this nonsense? What is going on? What is she... Who was she just singing to? Is she singing to me, like, in my face? She is! She's singing to my face! Oh, look at Stan, like, what the fuck is this? This ain't X Factor, bitch, shut up. Oh, my spoolie, I give you a cannoli delicious. Okay, Alistair. What the hell's going on? He looks terrified. She should have been a singer. Time for sex? What the fuck was that about? It was so random. Why did that just happen?
Yes? Something you need?
Seriously?
Yes? What's on your mind?
Ah, you were a traveling minstrel. Do you have any tales to share?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Alright, sing something else. Know any stories from Orlais?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Avalene, the Knight of Orlais.
Oh, God. That sounds interesting.
A long time ago,
sure it does.
a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods.
Oh, that's a great start.
Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Avalene, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield a sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
Alright.
Avalene's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best
Still has
any
the milk
Norwegian
duds
chevalier
flying
in
off his
battle,
body.
and wanted to show the cruel humans the child
Wow.
they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor,
the story made me
and
sneeze.
sent her to prove herself to her people in
Fuck.
the grand tourney. Now, in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney.
Blah,
But
blah,
Avalene
blah.
kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Did she win?
Avalene won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee.
They made love right
Avalene
there
had
in front of
already
everyone.
bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Avalene and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Avalene was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Avalene.
Yes.
Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Avalene to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Oh, what a great story. Yeah, I was hoping for a happy
The
ending.
son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Avalene's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land.
So he made them
When
sex
he
slaves.
was made king, he rewrote the laws of Olay so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Avalene and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Avalene the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
And that's the end of the story, huh? Do you know any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
I think we know about Flemeth. Morgan's mother. I met Flemeth.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend?
Yup.
Flemeth, the devourer of men. Flemeth, mother of witches.
Oh, yeah, that's her.
Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mist.
Flemeth of the saggy tits? Yes, I met her. She looks like your average old woman.
Well, if Flemeth really exists, she would be very, very old indeed. Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Flemeth was once beautiful.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land.
Oh, yes, of course.
She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea.
Tits as large as
When she
juicy
came of
grapefruits.
She came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from
This is
him.
going to be a different version of the
Flemeth
story
stayed
Morgan
with
told
Conobar
us.
for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her art. And then one day,
Yep.
a young poet named Osen came
Ozen,
to
same
the castle.
story.
Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
Alright, what happened then? Ooh, the plot thickened. Ew.
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's
Damn,
eyes.
that's different.
Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her.
That's a completely different
Distorted
story
in
from the
love
other
of Her
one.
love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men.
Damn!
the last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years.
Interesting.
They say she took to her side many chastened men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches.
Oh yeah,
Who
baby.
even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Yeah, you know Morrigan's one of them, right? Huh.
Which one? I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium.
Oh boy, here we go.
When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own.
Didn't last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved.
And that's how they became slaves.
Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers.
Ah.
They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
That explains a lot. Now we know about the Dalish.
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride.
Whoa!
But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him.
Here we go with all this
And
religious mumbo-jumbo again.
Began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
How did she die?
Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence.
It's always the evil man.
overshadowed his
Every
own.
one of these stories is
She
about
was
an evil
also
man.
revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter.
Jeez, this is a long story. Why did the Maker not save her?
I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure.
Alright, +5 for that insanely long conversation, +5. Wow.